What's up, everyone? It is Paradox, and today I am going to bring you the best werebear build in the game. It's better than Pulverize, it's better than the Tornado Werewolf build, it's better than Shred. This build you can level with as long as you have some of the uniques, but in the end game, it absolutely is the best. So to kick things off, what build am I talking about? It's going to be the TrampleSlide build. So just quickly go through the skill tree. We're going to go for Earth Spike along with the chance to stun and fortify. Coming down here for the passives, a lot of this stuff is going to share the same passives and skills and some of the same gear as the Pulverized Druid, but there's a few main key differences, and I'm going to point those out. So, of course, we want to be able to generate more skill or more spirit, do more damage, take less damage while in werebear, do more crits. Now, while testing this, whenever your trample triggers landslides, putting points into landslide gives you the ability to do more damage. So that's why you want to max out landslide. And I only put points to things that I'm going to keep on my bar. So max landslide. Do this as a transition, and then primal landslide is really important because whenever we stun or immobilize an enemy, which we can do with earth spikes, we do guaranteed crit strikes for however many we have on top of a 40% increased damage. Earthen bulwark, self-explanatory, really good barrier, along with giving us fortify and unstoppable. Going into right now, I'm in world tier 4, so the way that the damage calculator and the defenses work in this game, I have so much armor right now, and especially that I'm in hardcore, I don't feel the need to really worry about my physical resistances. So right now I have 82% less damage taken. It's really good, and my resistances, like, they're not horrible, but like if you're looking at this from a Diablo 2 standpoint, they would be atrocious. The big things that you need to look at while you're trying to build your defenses: high armor, high damage reduction. So I have damage reduction from elites, while extra while I'm fortified, extra while I'm injured. And then for some of the offensive stuff, overpower is great, extra crit strike damage is amazing, and anything that has to do with damage to CC'd enemies. And I've gotten this question a few times: a good ratio to keep for your crit chance to crit damage, try to keep it about a 1 to 5. So I have 21% chance to crit. I have 100% crit strike damage, so that's a good ratio. Now, if this was like, if I only had like a 10% chance to crit and then this was 300, it's not bad, but it's not as effective. So continue going through this. We use Debilitating Roar for the 70% damage reduction, along with Fortify and some heal. Because I am hardcore, some of these things are just not optional. Even going into softcore, especially world tier 4, I would change these. Nothing here, all of that's useless to us. Because we are in werebear all the time, putting 3 points into provocation is super important because it gives us a guaranteed overpower. It's one of 2 sources of overpower. Trample, of course, is the way that we end up proccing the landslide from this. We only do earth damage, so anything that's going to benefit from earth damage or from being fortified, we go ahead and take. Going down here, this is where majority of your options are going to come from. I went Grizzly Rage route for a few different reasons. One, I have a good ring that came with an aspect that helps it. If I was not going to do Grizzly Rage, I would do 2 points into Petrify. The reason for that is that the bonus whenever someone is petrified, bonus to regular enemies is 25% increase crit strike damage. Bonus to bosses is 50% increase crit strike bonus. That's huge, and it says for 7.5 seconds. Going over to this, it's going to end up being about 8.5. I don't have all of my point. Last thing, key passives. I went with Erdemite because I only do earth damage. Same thing that the Pulverized Druid goes for. You could also go for the extra life and 30% damage while healthy. Either one is perfectly fine. I like having the extra damage. I don't have all of my points, so like you can still see I'm missing points there, and I don't have even all of my Paragon points. So the last point I'll probably put into that, we always apply vulnerable, so going into natural disaster for a guaranteed 12% increased damage, really strong, and then this is strictly just against elites, so that's the reason I opted into going for natural disaster. Paragon board, don't focus on the actual pathing. The pathing will probably end up changing. Just wanted to point out some really important key features of this. Exploit glyph, not optional, absolutely have to have. It's our way to apply vulnerable on enemies every time we hit them. Ancestral guidance, this board is really beneficial because it gives us a way to generate spirit on kill, along with just boosting our core skill damage. As you can see, I don't necessarily have all of the needed ones for that. Going into my third board, I ended up going with what is this one? I went ahead and went with Earthen Deviation or Devastation. This is strictly just for the earth skill damage. Once this is finished up, and when I get to my fourth one, more than likely it's going to be the werebear one. For the glyphs, we'll be putting in werebear for one of them, and then the second one is going to be, where is it? Claw and Fang is an idea that may happen, or Undaunting. Either one is really good. Just depends. If you need more damage, go for Fang and Claw. If you need more defenses, which I will probably end up going for, I'm gonna go for Undaunted. So let's go over a little bit of the gear. Really only have to have 2 aspects that are mandatory to make this build work. Aspect number 1 is Trample now summons 6 landslides. That's the whole premise of this build, is around this. You want to get as strong of a 2-handed weapon as you can. Mine has a fairly good DPS. Try to get some good affixes on it. So affixes for offensives that you're looking for: crit strike damage with our skills, crit strike chance, overpowered damage, damage while in the werebear form, damage to close enemies, damage to vulnerable, anything that's going to benefit you for the most part. And then as far as going into some of the defenses, armor, damage reduction from vulnerable, damage reduction from CC'd enemies, total armor while in werebear form, life, anything that's going to give you life and damage reduction. Those 2 will come first, and then if you already have those, if you have a way to put in for armor, great. Everything else, not really that needed. I wouldn't worry about even having resist on your gear, because once again, the way that the damage and defense calculators work is kind of funky. Maxwell did a great write-up on that. I will link their site below. So one of the things that shares with the Pulverized Druid is having this helmet. Having this helmet is, both of these uniques are optional. I like having them because it's a good quality of life. Earth skills are now werebear skills. Great. Just gives us a way to cast our skills while we are in Grizzly Rage. The other one, I like running this because it gives me +2 ranks to all of my skills. It's just a flat 2 ranks, and the rolls aren't atrocious. Like, they're fairly good. Granted, I wish I had life and a little bit more damage reduction, but it's fine. I'll take it. Gloves. For gloves, you're looking for +4 ranks to landslide. That's really big. And then any type of crit damage, crit strike chance. For the imprint, you would go Earth deals more damage to crowd control enemies. Every time you hit an enemy with any of your skills, it's going to be crowd controlled. That's because damage from Earth skills slow enemies hit by 25%. So anytime that we hit an enemy, they get CC'd, so we do the extra damage. And then as far as boots go, spirit cost reduction. If you can get generic movement speed, that's great. Looking for type of armor, these boots are just kind of a filler for now. For pants, Earthen Bulk Ward is probably the best aspect to put on pants. You're just looking to go ahead and extend that bulk ward duration. It's up to 9 seconds. You're able to keep up the barrier because every time you kill something, it replenishes. You're able to you're also able to become unstoppable for those 9 seconds. For the amulet, this is probably the strongest aspect in the game defensive wise. It is the ones where you end up gaining armor for 4 seconds every time you deal damage. Super duper strong. Now for amulet, a few things you want to look on it. You want to look for +3 ranks to whatever passive is really useful to you. You have cooldown reduction, spirit cost reduction. There's a whole bunch of life. There's a whole bunch of great things that can roll on an amulet. This one so far is probably the best one I've found. Rings, you just want crit. You just want crit strike chance, crit strike damage with your earth skills, and this one happens to have overpower. Very good ring. This is probably the best ring I've found so far. I think I bought this actually off a vendor. And this is the reason that I'm running Grizzly Rage. It's because the Grizzly Rage is increased by 5 seconds. And then I also get that duration bonus for during the duration of that, I get the crit strike damage bonus. Second one, rings are the same. You also want to try to run max life if you can. Great. This is the other non-optional aspect that you have to have with this build. Landslide's Earth Pillars, each strike in a second time. So what that means is that when you first go through your trample, your landslide pillars are going to create 6 landslides coming behind you. In the second, and then it's going to repeat a second time. That second wave is going to be where majority of your damage comes from. And then going into my boons, reduce damage from elites, softcore, hardcore. I would keep this exactly where it is. 30% crit strike damage, really big. I wouldn't change this. If you were going to change it, if you want more crit strike chance, great. But I think that the crit strike damage is going to give you more DPS. We're extending the duration of the ultimate skills by 25%. And here's where a couple things would shift. If you are not going to care about being in werebear form all the time, and you wanted to put aspects here instead, at that point, drop Grizzly Rage, put in Petrify, put the extra point in there. For your boon, you would want to move from ultimate duration over here to Fortify for your max life when you use the defensive skill. That's going to be your other, that's if you wanted to move away, open up those few aspects, possibly get a little bit better rolls on your gear. If you get like a really GG helmet or whatever, great. If you are going to look for rare helmets, you're going to want cooldown reduction on this, life, and then for your chest piece, damage reduction. Every single thing of damage reduction you can get from close, from distant, while injured, whatever it may be. Damage reduction while fortified, that's huge. The physical damage and the overpower damage. Well, the physical damage is actually just a dud. We don't do physical damage to earth damage. The overpower damage is it's nice, but for a chess piece, I want to have all defensive aspects. The other thing we're going to go for is every 20th kill causes your next Earth skill to overpower. That's our second form of overpower. And then also crit strikes with shape-shifting heal. That's really important because that gives you a very good sense of it gives you a very good sense of stability. If you're kind of low on life, you trample, you're going to heal all the way back up, including all of that you're going to fortify for. I have gone through the petrify route. I had that before I actually came over to constant werebear. I like being a werebear. It just works for my playstyle. I like having the guaranteed overpower from it. I like the fact that a lot of pieces of my gear say that armor while in werebear form, or it was built around me being a werebear. If you weren't gonna go that route, anything that says total armor while in werebear form, switch it to generic armor or switch it to life, something else that's gonna be useful to you. So you would drop this, you'd go petrify, you would probably drop all of this, put a point in there, go probably put the rest of the points into here. And if you wanted to, you could drop iron fur, and I don't know, there's really nothing else that you'd want. Maybe like some extra fortified generation, but you don't need it. So with that being said, we're going to run a really quick dungeon. This build is absolutely insane with doing AoEs. I don't even know what the stats on this dungeon are. Lightning, shade, fire, physical resist. Okay, yeah, whatever. So none of these stats help me. I'm just gonna, I don't know, pop a random potion. Sure, whatever. None of the things on here help me. I'm not even gonna really bother with like ones and twosies because they will, for this dungeon, they'll end up coming. So trample through, kills everything. I am only level, I'm only level 72. Everything in here is 77, so it's all 5 levels ahead of me. And as you can see, even though I'm under leveled, I'm still not struggling at all to kill anything. Your Grizzly Rage, because of the ring, only has like a 25-second active cooldown. Like the cooldown starts as soon as you pop that, as soon as you pop the skill, that's when the cooldown starts. So super easy. Also not a very difficult dungeon. You have an idea of how it plays. I'm going to go ahead and cut to the boss so you can see some good single target damage. Alright, so we are at the boss. I actually forgot that the last dungeon did not have a boss, so just to show y'all, I ended up running a new one. The evade's pointless. The other thing is unstoppable. They regen, or well, the boss won't, but everything else regens, and they attack 25% faster. So this is just going to kind of show y'all an idea of how quickly this thing can deal with single target damage. If you ended up opting for actually opting for going with the petrify route instead of the Grizzly Rage route, this would be faster. But nonetheless, this monster is 5 levels above me, and I am not having any problems with killing it. Oh, I thought it was dead. So yeah, that's the build. Comment down below. Let me know if you think that this is better in Pulverize. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us over on Twitch at Helios Virus. And let me know what you think. Have a good one.